Hello everyone, it's Sharon and I'm happy to take you on a tour today of Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. Golden Gate Park is an over 1,000-acre park in the west side of San Francisco with all kinds of amenities for the city. But it didn't start out that way. All of the land that we are on today was once sand dunes, nothing but sand, and really difficult to be developed. It was 1870 when the city decided to put land aside for a park. They wanted a park like Central Park in New York, and they wanted it just a little bit bigger. They chose this land in the far west of the city, then called outside lands. Let's head on in. We're going to an area known as Museum Concourse. This concourse owes its shape and its prominence to the 1894 World's Fair in San Francisco, then called the Midwinter Fair. We're going to hear more about that soon. But meanwhile, let's take a look at the park today. Perhaps you can see that Ferris wheel behind me. That's something that's not always there. In fact, it was installed to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Golden Gate Park, and the grand opening was due to be the first weekend of April. The wheel is known as the Sky Star, and it finally began operations in October. Just south of the Ferris wheel is the California Academy of Science. Their mission is to explore, explain, and sustain life. So the Cal Academy is a lot more than just a museum. It's also a research institution that was founded in 1853. In 1989, San Francisco suffered a really bad earthquake, and the 11 buildings that housed the Science Museum were damaged. Sure enough, Renzo Piano, the Italian architect, came up with a brilliant idea, one that involved a lot of glass and a way to make the building part of the park. One way was to lift up the park, put the building under it, allowing it to have a living roof. Do you see those hills on the roof? One covers the rainforest bubble and the other covers the planetarium. And the museum houses an aquarium and a natural history museum also, so there's a lot to do. Now as you enter, you'll be greeted by a T-Rex. Can you see him yet? Let's head out now and go to the other side of the concourse, and that is the DeYoung Museum. It's an art museum that was established by Michael DeYoung. Who was DeYoung? Well, he was the publisher of the San Francisco Chronicle, the main newspaper. He was part of the Chicago World's Fair in 1893, and he really wanted to bring a fair like that to San Francisco, so he pushed hard. And DeYoung got a deal on some of the exhibits at Chicago, and he could bring them here for cheap or even for free. So sure enough, in 1894, we had the World's Fair, compliments of Michael DeYoung. In 1989, the earthquake took the building that was then the DeYoung and destroyed it. And so we needed a new one. And the architects were thinking about, what kind of art museum do you want in a park? Does it have to be apart from the park, or can it be part of the park? And this particular museum is very much a part of the park. Inside, you can see the copper cladding on the outside of the building. But the copper cladding is full of holes. It's perforated. So when you're inside, you get a whole lot of light that comes from natural lighting. Also, the building is set up so that there are small patios, and they're planted with plants that a park would have, and they're visible to anyone in the museum to see through the glass. Now that we've seen two museums, how about a garden? I'm standing outside the Japanese tea garden, which had its beginnings in 1894 as the Japanese Village for the World's Fair. There's not much left of that World's Fair today. Actually, the gate behind me is a replica. It was created using the traditional Japanese construction methods, no nails at all. But it's not part of the earlier 1894 fair. There are only a few things left from that time. One of them is this Taikobashi Bridge, sometimes called a moon bridge, because when it reflects in the water, it looks like a moon. Another is this Monterey Pine bonsai, just at the entrance to the tea garden. Also at the entrance to the garden is this plaque to Mr. Hagawara, who tended the garden from 1895 to 1925, expanding it and enhancing it. After Mr. Hagawara died, his family continued the work, caring for the garden. But the story doesn't end there. During World War II, those of Japanese extraction were rounded up and sent to detention camps, the Hagawaras among them. So it is with gratitude but a little sadness that we remember their work. On my way back to the car now, had a good time checking out all these new buildings, new and old buildings here in Museum Concourse. I hope to show you more of Golden Gate Park next time. Catch you later. Bye now. Have you heard the one about the fortune cookie? Well, the 1894 was the introduction of the fortune cookie. And it happened right here in San Francisco. And it happened at the Japanese Village. It was in the Japanese Village that the proprietors decided to tuck a little fortune into the mooncakes. And it became so popular, it went everywhere. How it got to be the Chinese fortune cookie, that I cannot tell you. But it did begin here with the Japanese Village in the 1894 fair.